Okay, how's everyone doing? I feel like I'm getting to know some of you from just coming. I always am humbled by the fact that people want to hear from me. I, because I've done this for so long, and I have so many stories in my head that a lot of times when I'm up here, it's kind of like I give them power, I give them voice, I give people who I've seen. So we are going to talk about motivation today. We're going to talk about how we motivate the people we work with, right? The biggest thing we do in therapy is motivating you to be empowered to do something with your life differently than what you're doing currently. I always tell my clients that there are many times I come out of it that you should never know more about your therapist. You should never know more about the youth you're working with. They should be about you. They shouldn't just know about you or whatever your program's doing. The program really should be about that youth learning more about themselves, right? Recidivism would be reduced if they kept on learning from their mistakes. It's like, I'm tired of arresting you. I'm tired of you being TYS. I'm tired of having session after session after session that I'm always in a crisis with you. I tell staff all the time that don't go into clients' chaos, invite them into your peace. Do not go into their chaos, invite them to peace, because you will not be with our agency very long if every day you're going into fires. Invite them into your peaceful streams. If they don't come, continue to invite them to come into that peace. We're going to learn a little bit how to do that. What does that look like? What is that? Every time you come around me, I always want you to have hands-on things that you can take with you and practice them when you go. Because what is it if it's not practical, right? You learn all this information, self-determination theory and yada, yada, yada. You sound smart, but it's dumb because I can't do anything with that, right? I'm taking notes, but this is stupid. So today we're going to learn about motivation. There is something I absolutely love, and it is self-determination theory. I have 1,000 theories in my brain. I just applied to graduate, so I hope I get to graduate soon. And so I have all of this data in my head, so you guys don't understand how much therapy you are for me. And I get all this out of my head. So what are we going to learn today? Our agenda is to learn about self-determination, which is connected to motivation, autonomy, relatedness, autonomy and relatedness. This used to be belonging, so it kind of throws me off. But that's what they call it now. And then we're going to talk about final tips and what are some takeaways. And the power of communication. I think when I thought about doing this today, and it's STD is the acronyms, but it sounds too close to STD, so don't use it. I know that's word, but it does. So I always just say self-determination theory. I kept on saying SDT, and I'm a social worker, so I deal with the other thing a lot. So the power of communication, the power of being able to de-escalate, to be able to really see effective changes in the people you work with. I have a little kid that I'm working with right now, and we have seen such a great change out of him using this theory. We have literally seen, and his life is chaotic. I had to walk out because one of my clients is in jail in Franklin County, and she's like, please answer the phone. She's one of my aging out foster care girls, and so I was like, okay, I'll be there. But the effectiveness, sometimes you hear stories like that so much that you need to see the change. I love my go-to age right now is 10 and under. I said, if you have double digits, leave it at home. I love my little 9. I don't know. I'm, in my 50s, I'm like, give me my babies. I can deal with their breakdowns. We have something called 1, 2, 3, 4, tap, tap, tap. 1, 2, 3, 4, tap, tap, tap. And we do that. We raise our hands. I need your eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, tap, tap, tap. And the kids do that. And they're annoyed sometimes that they're really calming down. So we do these things, these emotion puppets. And so you cut them out and you have the little faces. And it was the most interesting thing that I have all boys in my after school group. And all of them love the anger one. So they're always putting up, there's like a little puppy, you cut it out as paper, you have it on a popsicle stick. So they have a little cup that they have all the time because I'm teaching them language, because when you've been in trauma, you read people's faces wrong, right? Good thing I'm getting better, because sometimes the faces when I'm talking, like, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong, right? But they're always pulling them up because I want to see if they're reading the environment right. Are you reading that you're safe? Are you reading that you're okay? And what I was noticing is that they all brought up the anger one. So I'm dealing with 9 and under, my youngest being 6, African American males living in inner city, none of which have fathers in their home. And one is being raised by their father, their mom passed away. And I'm looking at everything they put up. I love the anger stick. So we do these emotions on anger, and then I look at them and I say, you guys always want to be angry. They're like, yeah, we feel in control when we're angry. And I'm like, you're 7. What are you mad about, right? And so they were comfortable with that emotion, and they were comfortable with sadness to some extent, frustration. They were comfortable with those emotions. And so we're going to talk a little bit about autonomy and being in control of your own environment and what that looks like. So our next thing was to talk about anger, but we were talking about peace. Like how not to, like you have this little circle and you're like, it gets smaller and then bigger and bigger. Like you might start off being irritated, but if you don't get that, it turns bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it turns into anger. And then when it's that big, it's out of control and it's going to destroy someone, right? And so I said, but let's talk about peace. They're like, no, peace is for girls. They were almost thinking like peaceful and being calm was for girls, and that men were angry and that's girly. And so I'm like, being at peace? Are you kidding me? Being calm, being nice, but they found some level, they found some level of safety in anger. I wasn't even gonna act like I saw that. All right, let's get to the next story. So that is a self-determination. It is the understanding of why people do what they do. Why do they do the actions that they do? So we're going to talk a little bit, so that's understanding motivation. It's choices and behaviors. That's what we're going to talk about. Why do people make their choices, and then why do they behave the way they do? And why are we doing that? So autonomy. Control over one's own actions and choices. Now, I am going to get a little bit into some data about cultural responsive, especially in teachers, cultural responsive classrooms. I want to say classrooms, but I'm going to use it because the world is a classroom. Everything you guys do is a classroom. I know you sometimes, if you feel like you're always a teacher, you're teaching them a skill. Everybody in here, if you mentor anyone, you're teaching them a skill of some sort, right? So control of one's actions and choices. I am going to talk about particularly working with African American young men and African American young women today, only because I need to talk about historic trauma just for a moment. The reason that I want to talk about historic trauma is that there was a time where African Americans, and I call us, my brethren went to South Africa, and they were like, why do you guys call yourself African Americans? Why aren't you guys just Black Americans? So I'm always like, what should I call us? What is the political right thing to do? So I always do Black Americans. So Black Americans, there was a time where we didn't have control over our own actions, and we didn't have control over our own choices. That is historic trauma. So what you will find out a lot of times with our younger Black men and women is that because of that, I'm going to give this story, and I think I might have given this story, that when I went to Mississippi, I don't know if I gave this to this group, okay. I went to the Mississippi for the first time. I've never been down south before. My mom, who I'm not going to tell her age, because she would get me being that this is being recorded, she had said to me, well, girl, what are you packing? You packing a lunch, or you're packing lunches? Like, Mom, why would I pack a lunch? No, we're going to stop at a restaurant. She said, oh my goodness. She had not been down south since the Jim Crow law lifted. My mom says, I have not been down south. She said, you literally are doing something I couldn't do when I was down there. She said, the last time I was down south, I accidentally went to the wrong drinking fountain, and Big Mama pulled me away and was like, girl, you're about to get us in trouble, right? So you're talking me, right? I'm sitting in front of you. I'm aged, but I'm not so old that I am sitting here telling you a story that I am my mom's wildest dreams. I went and ate at whatever restaurant I wanted to eat at. I drank at whatever, don't drink at public water fountains, but I could have, right? But I was allowed to do that. There was a time where we as blacks could not have autonomy for a very long period of time. And there are points where still feel like we're fighting for autonomy, right? The ability to make one's own action, to control one's actions and choices, right? So there was a place where we couldn't just choose where we wanted to go. You couldn't just choose, I want to go here. I want to sit here in the movie theater. I want to sit here on the bus, right? So if our grandparents did that, and we have something called socialization, racial socialization is what it's called. So in racial socialization, your mom is teaching you your identity. They're teaching you, we as Williams do this. I'm a Stillwell, but we as Stillwells do this, right? Stillwells do this. This is how a family runs. This is how recruiters run. This is how the Bensons run. And when you get with that family unit, you will notice there are traits that they do alike, right? So your family is teaching you these things that it's not. I read an article where black moms teach their children, don't tell our business when you go out. Don't tell that teacher nothing. Don't tell that school nothing. Don't say nothing. Don't trust them. Right? Who taught her that? Right? Her mama told her that. Right? I'm 50. I'm 52. So my mama taught me, who was born late enough, I got you, Mom, late enough, right, to remember that she wasn't allowed to drink anywhere she wanted to drink, right? So she didn't have autonomy. Does everybody get where I'm coming? How this would affect, right? So she didn't have autonomy. So mommy had to be taught by her big mama, don't drink anywhere white people drink. That was still in my mama's head, even though she knows Jim Crow is over. She went down south. She said, I don't know what they're doing down south. I went down there. I said, I never want to go back again. I think she's maybe 11. She's like, I don't want to go back down there in summer again because I'm going to get myself in trouble, right? So she saw that. So then she taught that safety thing to me. Right? And then her mama probably taught it to her because she literally lived in that time. My grandfather, I said this at the NAACP keynote, is my grandfather told me one day, he was 90-something years old, and it was hot summer at the post office right down here. He looked at me and says, you're 4 generations free. We worked and got our freedom. You're 4 generations free. I was like, I remember I was not even probably 30. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, granddad. Right? I started doing history and I understood what he was saying. They worked their butts off to make sure they're free. So when the Emancipation Proclamation came, we was already free. He wanted me to know that because he wanted me to know, I want you to know what you're made of. Right? You don't wait for somebody to come get you. You find out how to get there yourself. Right? So when that came, he really was teaching me autonomy. Right? That even no matter what's going on, you have to find a way to be resilient. So when I'm talking about controlling one's own actions, I'm not saying that we should justify bad behavior. But I am helping you understand that there are some racial socializations that they probably got in their home that makes them feel that they're not safe in certain situations. So when you're engaging, particularly with minority, black and brown kids who seem to be a big majority of what some of the violence we've been dealing with has to do with, you're going to find out that this autonomy they don't quite understand. And they want to own their own actions and choices, but they don't want to say that I'm acting and I'm going to, I know this is going to feel like a culturally diversity class today, but they're not going to want to hear I'm acting white because we do that to each other. You talk white, you act white, you da-da-da-da, right? When it has to be, that's just appropriate. Pull up your pants, shut your mouth, go to the interview on time. Go to school, learn. That's not, but what we've learned is that we've gained autonomy through, that's our time. I'm part of this gang. We all skipping school together. We are part of this. Yeah, we on the corner. That's their autonomy. So what we have to do is it has to be culturally relevant. And the reason that we need people who are doing respite that look like you and people who are doing mentoring and things that you're doing is because I sat in a meeting with one of my kids in probation, Lisa, and you probably think it's funny. But I was talking to him about how he was behaving in class. And I was like, you're being inappropriate. I'm trying to advocate for you. And he looked at me. I said, do you know what advocate means? And he was like, no. Now, this kid is in his probation officer's room. I'm telling him, like, dude, you messing up my life. I'm advocating for you, and you're making it hard for me. And he didn't even know what advocate meant. He's like, what do you mean? So I had to go to my, what I call my Shaquante mode. I was like, dude, I'm trying to have your back, and you won't let me have your back. Right? I'm trying to be loyal to you, and you won't let me be loyal. He was like, got you. Oh, wow. He was like, got you, right? I was trying to teach him autonomy, that your actions that you're doing, I'm advocating for you. You think I'm advocating for you to commit to a society that you're trying to rebel against, which is self-defeating. You're defeating yourself. But you think this is what being hood is. You think you being hood. And you are falling into a system that we are fighting hard to give you an alternative to. But you think that this is being with your boys or this is having your back. They have autonomy off. So the fight that you're getting with a lot of these kids is autonomy. They want control over their lives. They think they stuck on stupid. That's what my auntie used to say. Bumpy Lumpy, she called me Bumpy Lumpy, my Aunt Merlin. Bumpy Lumpy, you were stuck on stupid. And she was right. I was stuck on stupid in a lot of areas of my life. She was like, you're way smarter than what you're acting. You have way more sense than you're using. Right? And my thing is that I'm really right now into cross-racial harmony. Right? Because we all need something from each other. I have biracial nieces and nephews, and they are a beautiful representation of what life should be. They breathe, live two cultures at one time. Right? There has to be an understanding that we need each other, but we cannot continue to think that if our kids are doing that, you ain't hood enough. You ain't, what you doing? You square. What? I'm not arrested, don't have a record. What you say? My rent is paid, my mortgage is paid, and I drive a car. How about that? How's that for cultural relevance? You get what I'm saying? How is that, right? You know, I'm supporting black businesses. I got money to buy some more flipping recipes. How's that for you? Right? So you have to understand that you control one's actions and choices is that sometimes this is going to be distorted. And you're going to have to bring a cultural relevant idea about their society. How are you going to know that? You're going to have to know that. I have a value system sheet I use. It's got 15 values on it. Family, love, money, da-da-da-da. And you go through it and you say, what is most important to me? And I do that and my kids do the top 5. Then I know what they really in them streets working for. Loyalty is big for them. Family is big for them. Pride is big for them. Identity is big for them. You got to work through that and see what's really feeding that bad behavior. It's normally a basic need to be wanted, to feel like they belong, to feel like that's what's feeding it. It's just coming out in a very dysfunctional way, but they're feeding a really good need. They need to feel like they belong. They need to feel like who they are. You get what I'm saying? And room to be who they are. So that's autonomy. Anybody have any questions on autonomy? Any questions, comments on autonomy? Okay. Competence. The need to feel capable and effective in one's actions and pursuits. This is where we get stuck at. I sat in the car with a kid. I will never forget him. He's my dude still to this day as he does his time. And he said, I'm not good at school, I'm good at street. He's like, every time I go to school, I feel like I don't belong. I feel like I'm not competent. The teachers don't want me there. I can't learn there. I don't belong there. I can't do a 9-to-5 job because my reading is not where it needs to be. My literacy is not where it should be. She's right. It's very connected. I'm not comprehending. So I can't get a job. And that's corny anyhow. I make so much more money on the block. Autonomy. owning my choices. What is one of my values? My family. I'm buying my own J's. I don't have to worry about my mama giving them to me anymore. Get what I'm saying? And so when you deal with competence, you are dealing with the fact that they want to do what they're capable of, whether it's right or wrong. Can anybody give me somebody that they know does that? Can you think of a client right now? Right? Yeah. And what do you do with that? Give me something that you do with that. You have it. I need competence. This theory has a beautiful website that backs all of this up. And I should have put it on here. But it's the need to feel capable and effective in one's action and pursuits. Wonder if that's criminal. There are some good drug dealers who make it and buy businesses and that. They doing some federal time right now, but they mama in a house in her name.
Sending you money.
Sending you money. I can't believe how much they navigate and they not even here. I said, oh, Lord. Oh, your car broke down? Okay, go to my mama's house. My mom got you. Right? He is competent in what he does. Give me some things that we could do to help that out.
Well, if you can point out the business skills that he has, obviously.
It's good.
And show them how to make that transition. Not everyone is cut out to have a degree, but you can still be successful in business. Some of our billionaires
Yeah.
didn't go on to finish college.
No.
So I think we have to do away with that concept sometimes that the only path to get to this
Yes.
is this door when there's several other paths.
Absolutely. How do we make a program like what even Mario is doing, who lost his brother in October, right? How do we make that attractive to my kids who say, I know the streets? What is something, now that I have all these brilliant people in here, how do I make that attractive? Yes.
You can't make it attractive.
Okay.
You cannot make it attractive because, number one, you got to know how you got there. How did you get there? Once you decide that you don't want to do that anymore, okay, you have to deal with how you got there so you won't do it again.
Got you.
And then you transition over. Well, I was good at this. Well, let me see if I can sell this, and that. This is a true story that I
Got
tell
you.
The transition happened when I realized it wasn't good for me no more, but it was so late in my years. But it's never too late.
Yes.
So that's why I'm here today, so I can catch somebody and say, well, how did you get here? So what are you going to do different?
So you just answered it.
Right.
It is your telling the story.
Yeah.
You know, it is the Rhonda. It's her saying, "Hey, let me tell you how you redo this." Right? Somebody who has a story that I've been there and felt the consequence of. Right? So that would mean that somebody would need to partner up with Mario. Right? You need to partner up with Mario as a small business. Look at me. I know.
Okay,
Buffy always got me. Right? Let me go here. Let's seriously. And say, hey, this is a reformed lane. Like I have some people who have never been in trouble, never done anything. This right here is for people that are like, you know what? I'm tired of getting locked up. Our officers come, we want to do something different. I don't want to lock you up. I don't want my police officers in the danger that they feel they're in. So if we understand that and we're like, okay, let's turn this around, then that would mean you would have to be directly connected to Mario. Because his story is loss, your story is experience. Credible, exactly. Exactly. Because if I've never done any time or I've never done anything, I don't even know what it is to feel those bars locked in. I have kids that you gotta know what that experience was like from a true story level, because we have people with stories that we put barriers for them, and I wanted your macaroni and cheese. We put barriers in front of them that are just there through society that doesn't allow you to come in and tell your story to kids who are on their way there, right? So if I get someone who says it in my language, let me take my kid. I'm trying to advocate for you. I don't know what that means. Right? So if I'm going to be competent, then the first thing is like, right, you're going to have to make it attractive in a way that you come where I'm at. I can't get where you at. Yes.
Kind of going off of her point too, what I see a lot is, like when I did a literacy class, some of my athletes were there, they were like, oh, coach, we didn't know you did this. Giving them examples of people that
Yes.
they see every day that look like them,
Yes.
that do these things is not so far-fetched. They can,
Yes.
you know, they can grab onto
Yes.
it a little quicker and a little easier, someone they trust, and they, like I said, see every day. Is
Yes.
That's
really the
you said
problem
it, trust.
I see, you know, with some of the kids that I work with.
Yes. So trust, and not anybody's been to my thing, I will always say trust is the willingness to be vulnerable to another person. That means that I will show you my wounds, I will show you where I hurt, and I will show you my weaknesses, and I'm going to believe you're not going to use them against me.
The streets don't trust. So if that's where you are, you don't trust anyone.
Yes.
So that's hard in itself. Like I said, those type of people, these type of students,
Yes.
or this community,
Yes.
these kids,
Yes.
before we can do anything,
Yes.
they have to be reprogrammed.
Yes.
And I saw it, I believe it, and it doesn't work until they see somebody like themselves who's getting ready to go into what they think they get ready to go into.
Yes.
If you catch them before they get there,
Yep.
and take them back this way before you bring them back this way, you'll have better results.
Yes.
Because you can't jump from here to here. It
Yes.
just don't happen.
Yes.
Because if you think you're gonna fail, if you come here and you come here,
Yes.
all this stuff in between,
Yes.
if you haven't learned anything, you're not gonna be ready, so you're gonna go right back
Yes.
there. Because you always
We
go
call-
back to
we
the
call-
old behavior.
We call it dry drunks. You
Yeah,
look like you
that part.
recovering, but you're actually a dry drunk. You just as mean and dysfunctional, and your family's messed up, and everybody's like, they're sober now. I'm like, yeah, they just a dry drunk. They just dry, but they still a drunk. Their mind is still a drunk, right? So you can't take them. That's why you have the 12-step program, is that you go through the process, right, of really being reformed and transformed and really renewing that mind in a way and reframing that mind in a way that's genuinely different in the inside of who you are, right? So competence, you're making a very good point, is a process. And you're making another good point. Competence start where you're competent at now. Right?
Right.
So if I'm competent in the streets right now, I'm going to have to watch when I talk to my kids. I have so many languages I have to do. It's called bicultural. It's like I'm in the dominant culture, but I have to know, yes, I be bilingual, right? Yes, and biculturalism is this idea that I know how to assimilate to the dominant culture, but in order to get to subcultures, I'm going to have to learn how to do that as well. Right? And that is what you're talking about. You're talking about, okay, let's bring you over to something that's going to give you better results. But I understand right now you're not competent, and what you're competent in is defeating you. Right? What you're competent in.
And I think with this, too, and kind of speaks on what you said about just, not feeling they do well in school. Just with past experience, I started out as a teacher and then it
Oh, did you?
different things, but I've
I might need you. No.
what I've noticed over the last 20 years is that a lot of our Black American youth are getting on IEPs sooner than white kids.
Yeah.
And half the times, I don't know if it's due credit. You know what I mean? And I feel like at a young age, they already feel incapable of doing school.
Yes.
They already feel like they're kind of targeted in a way. They're like, well, I already can't do it, so why am I going to put more effort in
Yes.
doing it if the teacher already thinks I can't do
Yes.
it? So, and just at probably over the last even just the last couple of weeks, we do through Youth and Family Council, we have a contract to do cans for the Department of Youth Services for all counties in Ohio.
Yep.
And every single cans that I've done since June, every youth has been on an IEP in school or behind in reading.
Yes.
And so I think we're setting our kids up for a failure at a really young age and expecting them to just be able
Absolutely.
to change it. So,
We have our after-school program. The first thing we do, first 20 minutes, is we do phonics. And I use it as therapy because I help them focus. Yes.
I feel that's why when they're like
Great.
handed stuff in school, and once you get out to real world, they don't know how to like get a job, how to do
Right.
finances, none of
Absolutely.
that. It's like, oh man,
Absolutely.
what do I do now?
Yeah,
So I have a
absolutely.
teacher
Absolutely.
to show me how to
Absolutely.
do this, 'cause now I'm by myself in this world.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm doing. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is what happens. I mean, I told them, I was thinking this today after reading so much data on literacy and how behind we are, particularly black and brown, my Latino brothers and sisters, as well as my black Americans. I've noticed that one of our issues is that sometimes the expectation is so low for us that moms will get sent home a certificate that says your child is doing well, but then when they're in my classroom, they're still reading at a first grade level. So the expectation is with black children sometimes is you are behaviorally acting well. I don't care if you're learning and you know how to read and comprehend. You were so good in my class.
Oh my God.
I'm going to give you a star because I didn't have to say anything to you, little Peanut or little Jamal. I didn't have to say anything to you. And because you are behaving good, I'm going to give you a star. Who cares that he's reading at a second grade level? Absolutely. And mom's like, oh, I didn't get any phone calls from the teacher. No one called me. This is great. Oh, great. I'm just going to sit here and do this. And then they get out in the real world and they find out I am only competent for the streets because I can't maintain a job. And I'm tired of sitting in the same position over and over and over again, right? And so what we find out is even things like that Sister Black does is that even with plays and reading them, comprehending and acting them out, phenomenal. Comprehending them, understanding emotions, seeing that, reading. Every time she has this whole script, she makes them read it all. Being creative in the way that we do these things and the way we function is extremely important. Getting with you, how did you make your ingredients? That's science. Perm, the way we do our hair, that's science, right? Making it so that when they get, how do I apply this to the real world, right? I'm out here, I don't know how it does, but looking at things so that we understand there's areas that we are competent in, and how do we apply that, right? So that is one way. Anybody, anything else? Anything else? Okay. I'm not going to take forever. Yes, sweetheart.
Okay, what I wanted to say, I'm sort of like Pollyanna. I always look for the good in people.
All right.
Even though there's so much bad that maybe on the surface, I'm gonna look for that good.
Absolutely.
And so, like, what my program has been doing over the years is like, I talk to them about who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I may come to them in a spiritual sense, saying that, you know, we are a spirit being having an earthly experience.
Yes.
Do you know who you are?
Yes.
Try to tell them who they are and that everyone on this planet
Yes.
has a unique gift
Yes.
within them. And I try to help them to discover that gift and talent that is within them so that they can take that and go further.
Yes.
Take it and enhance themselves.
Yes.
What life, you are what you
Expose
spoke out of
yourself
your
to.
mouth,
Yes.
what you spoke into existence. And if you're not having what you want, then it's nobody's fault but you.
Yes.
So I try to tell them and instruct them and show them and give them information
Yes.
on how they can better their lives.
Yes.
And then I do it through acting.
Yeah.
Acting out different plays.
That's role playing. We do that in therapy all the time.
So
Yeah.
it's just like, my theory is love.
Yeah.
Because with love and kindness have you drawn them.
Yes.
You're going to draw them with love, not be
You are.
the head of this, that, and the other. Yeah, they may be doing this, that, and everything.
Yes.
But if you love,
Yes.
just like my mom said, well, you just got to love the hell out of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You have to love
Yeah.
no matter what. Because love is long suffering.
Yes.
You go through something.
Yes.
You looking into the future.
Yeah.
I'm not going to condemn you where you are.
Yeah.
Because I see you at a better place.
Yes.
So I'm going to suffer along with you because I know you're going to arrive there.
Yeah.
I'm believing you're going to arrive there because I'm going to be a part in your life.
Yes.
Helping you to achieve and accomplish what you do.
That is very good. Yes.
I just want to segue off of that. It's just that I see you, and
Yes.
I have a mentee, and she was at Malabar at the beginning of the year. She was doing that, kept getting kicked off the bus, suspended from the bus. She got
You were suspended. No, I'm just joking. Yes, it was me.
but she's powerful and she's dynamic.
Yes. Yes.
Good. But in trouble, ISS all the time, always in.
Yes.
And one
Oh, yeah.
pointing at, well, she took off after him.
Oh, wow.
So instead, they said, they called me up and they said, you're at STEM a lot. What do you think about putting her at STEM? I'm like, let me talk to mom.
Yeah.
Did it. She was student, they see her.
Yes.
See her and they value her
You got it.
strength. They value that. And she was not only student of the month, February, of the whole school, February, and then now this month, she got most improved and she was on the honor roll.
Wow.
Complete turnaround.
Yes.
I'm not saying that it's a
No, no.
but I'm saying they saw her. They
Yes.
valued her asset.
Absolutely. And the thing about it, my self-harmers, I did a lot of residential work. I remember one girl coming out with her leg completely cut, flesh coming out, bleeding, smiling, because she was like, now you see. And what you're doing is that with my self-harmers, people hated that floor, but as a therapist, I thought it was interesting because it's very simple. I said, I see your pain. You don't have to do that. And I noticed a reduction in that by constantly saying, I see you, girl. It's something we say in our language. I see you, girl. I see you. We are hype shows for each other nicely in our culture. But that's something I used to do with her. And I noticed, so what you're doing that is right. A lot of times they're doing things to be seen, right? There's a lot of loyalty in the being seen. Donna does a lot of, I get all of your emails about I said, if you fail at Mansfield campus and you don't have the right, it's because you wanted to. Because there is everything. She's sending stuff. I have blankets. I have somebody that needs a couch. You're constantly saying, I see you. Don't give up. I know you need a bed. I know you need a couch, but I see you. I'm throwing anchors out there, asking people to come in and help. So you're exactly right. I see you. Even having the police department here is a way of saying, hey, I see that we need to do things differently. I see. I think, I love I see you. I have something that says, my sister-in-law gave me, it says, I see you, I hear you, and I'm with you, or something of that sort. But yeah. So thank you for sharing. The other thing is relatedness. This used to be what we called belonging. And with belonging, it is the need to feel connected to and cared for by others. And that's kind of what we were just talking about, this ability to connect. My thing is this, and I said this to myself because I have a young girl that I'm really, we just went through our roster, and I think we are closing out like 30 clients that have, and some of which have done very well. And we have 173. There's no way I could service 173 kids. I just got a new caseload, being that I'm almost done with school, and I think I have 48 kids on my caseload. And so the way we break it down is that we have busy weeks. But I'm excited to get back out there. It's been a little while since I went back out there, but I also said to myself, you can't fix everyone, right? You can't connect to 48 kids, right? There's going to be people that you're going to have to surround them with. Rondre is on our team. There's kids he's going to get that I'm not going to be able to get. There's kids here. That is why forums and coming together like this is essential. Because if we don't work as a village, and if we don't work as a team, and we have individualized goals that I want to be the hero, I want everybody to be like, oh, Buffy, oh, honey, it's overrated. Believe me, you don't want that. I want to cheer on everybody in this room. Everybody has a part, right? Because the real win is when our community is working as a unit. I said this when I was at the NAACP. I said the strategy is to divide. That's how we're destroyed. We're destroyed through division, divided house. Oh, well, you're different. You eat different than me. I use this analogy, green bean casserole and dinner rolls, or greens and cornbread. I really don't care, right? They both could be at the table together and they're not going to argue. Just get your green bean casserole and your roll. I'm going to go get my greens, cornbread, and and get my hot sauce and be all right. I'm going to do what I need to do to be comfortable, but I still can have dinner with you. I can eat a pork chop with a Muslim during Ramadan. If I had to, you know what I mean? I'm okay. If you ain't offended, I'm not. Right? Yes, I will have to eat with one of my friends. No bacon on that. Give me his bacon. Thank you. Can I have that bacon? Put it on mine, right? Like, I'm eating it, right? So my thing is, as long as you allow me to be who I am, right? And if you're spiritual, let God work on whatever you think need to be fixed on me. He ain't put that on my list to fix, honey. So if he all right, I'm all right. Right? I don't need you to do that. Love means that I prefer you. That's what it means in the Greek. If you go, it's a preference. It means that, and when you go in there, the famous thing is love is kind, love is patient. You know what I mean? It means that I'm kind when I don't feel like being kind. I'm patient when I don't feel like being patient. I'm long-suffering when I don't feel it. If you never feel that tension between not wanting to be patient and kind, then baby, you ain't doing your work. There ought to be a time that you are grinding your teeth to not tell this kid, don't ever come back again. Don't you ever come back in here again, right? If you have never wanted to say that, you're not truly deep in the mesh yet. Because there's some times where I love Teddy Roosevelt, Jody did this yesterday, where my face is just muddy from being in an arena, and I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for you, and I'm mud and marred, and you sitting up here talking about, don't nobody care about me.
Oh, boy.
I promise you. But what I'm not going to do, and what I continue to tell myself, is that my role is to give you the opportunity. And when I'm muddy and I'm tired, I said I could at least go to sleep saying I did my part. You will never be able to say that nobody went into the arena for me. And that is where connectedness comes at. This is where kids start feeling connected and cared for. I've gotten phone calls from kids 5, 6, 7 years later who said, you know what? I got it. I got one of my moms who said she was in the middle of a mess, and she sat down, and she said, I was sitting down, and I was tired of myself. She said, I was sitting on the floor. I was tired of myself. And I said, I guess Miss Buffy's right. She finally got it. Years and years and years later, finally clicked, right? So our egos cannot be a part of the journey. I'm telling you, in recovery, we call ego easing God out. That's part of recovery. Ego is easing God out. What does it mean? That I'm easing my higher power. I'm going to go to recovery real quick. It is, I believe that something greater than myself can restore me to sanity. When you do that, you're saying, I am in control. I'm going to be in control of my life, and yours too. I'm going to make you act right. As officers, they know that. They wish they could. I'm going to handcuff you, lock you up. You're going to learn your lesson. And next week, they get drunk again, high again. You got to go back to the same house again. Like, dude, Otis, are you ever going to get it? I'm coming to get you every time you beat your wife. I'm tired of seeing you, right? So my thing is that I'm there, I'm connecting, I care for you. Don't wear yourself out with trying to get results, because it's going to take a long time, and it's going to take a community. And this is why this is healthy, because when he laughs and says, yeah, this is really hard, or you get it like, yeah, I go to that house all the time, and that woman keeps on taking them back. Why do you keep on taking them back? Why are you exposing your kids to this? Now your kids in juvenile system. I got 4 generations deep. I'm 3 generations deep in a family.
There it is. You just said it.
Yeah.
It's generational.
It is. But it has to stop somewhere, because I'm generational, and I have generational things I could do. And I just finished a doctoral, and you could not have told me that. I had reading help when I went to Lexington at 5 years old. I am the most unlikely person in the world to be doing what I'm doing.
You were the one that stopped it.
Yes. I had to make a choice. And then I had to do it. You have to sometimes do it in a path that there is no path already mowed out for you. You are it. I keep on telling people, stop looking for the boat. Create it. Use people around you. There's not one gift that you have that's not for somebody else. Use your gift. Connect to each other. Be vulnerable to each other. And the problem is you're telling these youth to trust, but you don't trust. I'm going on Jody, who is your support system? Right? Who do you go to when you're overwhelmed? Are you still trying to iron out your own cape so you could be super person so that you deal with something that happened to you when you was 5 and 6? Because if you do, this work you do is going to wear you out. So when I say that they need connection, you make the link available, you open your arms, And whether or not they come and hug you, it's up to them. All right? All right. Is there any questions, any concerns that we have? I think that I'm at thank you. I'm at thank you.
I just wondered if you could put me in your pocket. I think I've asked that before. I just like to just be in your
Oh, I would love to be with y'all, believe me. This is really healthy. Listen, it is very, very healthy for me to do this because as I'm talking, I'm speaking to self. The scripture says, I have left, but I have not arrived, right? I am always humbled by the fact that I know myself, right? And I know how hard this work is. So when I'm done in this 30 years, over 30 years now, I was 19 years old and I started at Community Action volunteering with the elderly that used to be down there with Mary McDonald. I don't know if y'all know Mary McDonald, but you know, yes, with Mary McDonald, she brought me in. My dad used to run Community Action, so I am very humbled by the fact that that I know that this takes a community, and I always say I stay as low as possible, right? So when the fire happens, you know, when you come in, you know, I'm low, and so yes.
I just want to say I really appreciate all of this. This is great information, and just the fact of we're all in the same room, we all have that different part to play, and
Yes.
recognizing like we're not trying to do it all by yourself.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of us feel like there's an urgency, so you feel like you have to
Yes.
do it all.
Yes.
But looking around and just connecting with everybody else here and knowing that you can pass the ball to somebody else. And,
Absolutely.
I feel like that's the value here, like one of
Yes.
many things that I'm
Yes.
getting out of this.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm here. So,
Yes.
like, I want to help to spread this and just like get
This is
everybody on
wonderful.
board.
I've never been this close to officers all the time. I told my two African American males that I have raised, 20 and 21. I'm like, there's officers here all the time. They're like, Mom, you're talking to. I said, yeah, there's two officers normally. They're a part of the police force that's there. Just psychologically, for them to know that their mom is what I say to them, someone else is hearing that, psychologically that was good for them. Because they said, my son came back like, Mom, for real? I'm like, yeah. I was like, and they're nice and they smile and they're there. I'm like, it's okay, because when my boys started driving, there was this, when you get stopped, this is what you do. This is what you do. When they go out, it's different to send your black son out driving. My son is a honor student at OU in education, but he's 6'1". He's about 215. He's a big boy, and I'm like, dude, when you get stopped, it's yes, sir. It's my dad. Their dad's a Marine. You know it. It's yes, sir. What can I do? You just adapt. It's okay. It ain't gonna hurt your feelings if you say yes, sir. You just do that. He's out here protecting, and he might be protecting you from somebody. And he's like, okay, do you have your license? Make sure you always riding right. You all right? You know what I mean? Because there's more good out there than there is bad, and we cannot allow the 20% out there that might not be doing the right thing to outdo the 80% of us who care. That's what I love, the village. I feel like this is like a little village that we are just learning about each other, because I learn a lot from all of you. So.
I'll tell you something. I tell my kids the same thing.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get pulled over, keep your hands on the wheel.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. Do what
Yep.
you gotta do. Just do that
Absolutely.
stop.
Absolutely.
Call me when you're done.
Exactly. Yes. I say stay humble. Yeah. And
How we gonna pay for that?
right. Because you in trouble. Right. Go
I
ahead.
just want to say to everybody in the room, if you need me, holla at your girl.
Mario needs
I
you.
will come and speak. I will come and speak. If you need some words spoken to them, words of encouragement, wherever they're going, trust me, I done already been, not pretty, but I survived.
Yes.
And that's the main story. You can make it if you want to, but you got to check the person beside you.
Yeah.
So that's my message to my young people. You're good, but check that dude beside you.
Yep.
Because the dude beside you might be envy of you and then try to put you back where you don't want to go. So y'all,
Association.
you always got to make sure you
Yes.
know who's sitting beside you.
Yes.
Who you riding with, who you walking with, who
True.
you talking with. You have to know how to identify that is not you. That's not who you want to be. Get away from them.
Yep.
Them hairs standing up on the back of your neck, they're not there for nothing.
That is very
Because
true.
they're standing up now as I'm talking to you because
Right.
you want to know what else I'm about to say that's going to help you that you don't want to hear.
Right.
Okay? That's how I get down.
Yeah.
So if you need me,
Yeah.
college,
Everybody know her too. Everybody know Rhonda.
old folks,
Yes.
if you need me, I'm accessible.
I don't know where.
I got you.
Oh.
I need to reach out to you.
I got you. I got you.
I'm sorry, guys, real quick, I'm sorry, I'm on a grant seminar, and it just dawned on me that you guys have these little things in front of you. NECIC just, submitted, or we're in the works of submitting a capital budget request, and this is for this grant that we're doing with our Ricky Farm, so we actually, if we are in the prison at the Ricky Farm, working with the inmates at both Ricky and Nancy. So we are submitting this big, huge grant with a whole bunch of partners. And since you guys are our partners, if you click, if you want to, and if you are allowed, I know some people can't do it because of their titles, but if you can, there's a QR code. You just scan the code. All you do is put your name on it and your organization, and you click submit. We do all the hard work for you.
And that's to sign the letter of support.
This is a signed letter of support, yes. You don't have to, but if you don't, I'm probably just gonna send you an email anyways. So,
Yes, you will.
So this is just, you just did it?
Yeah, that works really easy.
Okay, yeah, it's super, super easy. Everything is already, signed up for you to do. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, we're good. Anybody have any questions? It is one. I just want to always get you guys out on time. Any questions? I appreciate everyone in here. I tell my class every time that we leave. I teach little new social workers going out. It's been such a privilege. Go out and be brilliant. So go out and be brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you,
If you
Bubby.
wanted to learn more about self-determination theory, is there a
Yes.
site you can
Yes,
go to?
yes. If you just Google self-determination theory, there is it's Randy. Randy is going to be the name. Let me see if I can do it for you real quick so that you know.
Because I know there are a lot of people that wanted to be
Yes.
CSA but couldn't be, so I'd like to share that.
Yes, here it is. This is their website. I love it. It's going to overview the whole theory for you. You can even sign up, and it will give you different titles, how you can use it in your field. It's going to give you all the research information. Who are we? The purpose of it. It's an amazing tool to use. That I would definitely, and if you join, it's really free. They do take donations, but if you go up here where it talks about members, and if you go in there, it actually gives you surveys that you can use with your clients. Yeah, we're always looking. She says we're always looking for that, right? And it's really evidence based, and it is amazing. Like I go into the education piece, but it's applying self-determination theory to education. So whatever field you're in, you can connect to it, and it will tell you how to do that in your particular SDT. I told you I was gonna mess it up. What are the cultural? So you go in there, and it's gonna give you like definitions. Like it's just one of the dopest things that I've done. So it's gonna give you this. It's gonna give you takeaways. You're gonna be ready to go. All right. You are so welcome.
I'm having a deja vu.
Ah,
Here before. Did we?
thank you.
Oh, no.
You having deja vu, girl?